Today's show is probably going to be a little bit different than past several shows that we've been doing. We've had some great interviews. Been talking a lot about storage lately, and this is still related to storage, but it's not storage specific. It's something that's on my, I guess, on my heart, on my mind a lot, and this will probably be somewhat of a rant. So if you don't like rants, you may want to tune out a little bit, but no, don't tune out. But yeah, this will probably be a little bit of a rant. Hopefully, it's short and sweet and kind of to the point because there's only so much you can kind of say about this. But just as the title of the show today is, when did it become cool to not work? And I think COVID probably had played a large part of that. COVID changed it so much. It seems like every show I do is somehow related back to COVID. It really interrupted a lot of things in life. Made some things better, obviously too. But this whole lifestyle thing, I only work 4 hours a week and bragging about that. I vacation 8 months out of the year, and people bragging that they're not working. And before I kind of go further into that, let me preface with saying that the people that are saying this aren't the people that are grinding 18, 20 hours a day, right? So there's people out there that without a doubt are working 12, 14, 18 hours a day, right? There are people out there like that. More than like, and I'm not going to be the judge of those people, but more than likely, yeah, those people probably need a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit more free time in their life, without a doubt. I'm talking about on this show, this episode, the people that are bragging that they work 4 hours a week, right? Those people, the lifestyle people, and I can compare it to storage because I've seen it. The people that get one or two self-storage facilities and the so-called passive income that they're getting per month covers their expenses and maybe a few $100 extra. And they're cool with that. And they just want to stop. And I've seen it too many times. And what frustrates me about this, and I'm not just ranting the rant, what frustrates me about this is these are very talented people that are providing value in the world. And I think, and I'm going to use storage as an example, as I always do, because I'm in self-storage and I see others, a lot of my peers are in it as well. But clearly, if you can basically buy a business, which is what they're doing, they're providing to the local economy, right? They're making a few hires here and there, so they're helping other people. They're also providing, hopefully, a really good product in the self-storage facility for people to rent. So they're providing value to people. And you could go even further than that. There are people that, maybe that person or people, they become financially free through that, which is great. They can teach others and help others get there as well, right? Which I do see some of that, but I see too much of people getting one or two facilities and then just chilling and working 2 hours a week, 4 hours a week, and not doing anything to plug that time that you just gained, right? Not plugging anything of value into that time that just was gained. I wrote some stuff down here, so I'll probably be a little bit not all over the place here, but I want to go back to kind of what I was just talking about towards the end. But some groups I've been a part of, and some groups that were formed off other groups, was the goal. The objective was to free up your time so that you can have time to do what you want. And I think that needs to go further. It's not just time to do what you want, because I think without structure there, and most people can't handle structure, right? Just most people can't. But there has to be some structure in place. So if you've basically gained financial freedom and you find yourself just chilling all day, maybe going to the Y, playing some pickup basketball or something, hanging out with the family, which is awesome, right? Those things are both awesome. But if you're not finding yourself productive and doing something meaningful beyond, and I'm not just saying just with family and just with working out or stuff like that, because I do that, right? I definitely carve out time for my family, for my health. I absolutely do that. but I'm also working a lot too. And when I'm calling work, it's not work to me. I do enjoy it. Um, and maybe that's the difference. I think maybe some people see it as they don't enjoy it, but that's the whole key I'm this trying to portray here is once you gain that time freedom, you don't stop. You plug, you use that newfound time and you find something that you can plug into it that's valuable. Maybe it's not just for yourself, hopefully not just for yourself. Maybe it's to create value for others. And I think that's the big key here. I mean, I can use myself as an example because I don't want to use others as an example. But I can use myself as an example. For the first 4 or 5 self storage facilities, I was running pretty lean, and we had, and there's nothing wrong with this, but we had part time boots on the ground people, and I would use a third party call center. Was I providing value to other people? Without a doubt. It took definitely some rewiring of my brain and probably getting around other higher level thinkers that were around me and listen to podcasts, reading books, stuff like that too, to realize that just because I have my time freedom and I'm financially free doesn't mean I should stop. In fact, to go even further, I should continue to go further, but the reason for that is to help others. And there's so many ways you can help others, right? Obviously, creating more jobs and a good work environment, that's one. That's an easy one, right? If you own a business, that's an easy one right there. Creating more value could be, yeah, you could help others get to where you're at. Another thing is maybe to me, no matter where you're at, money wise, you should be giving back. You should be donating. And it doesn't have to just be money, but it can be time, right? So essentially helping others. And there's so many ways to do that. And I think when I hear people say, I only work 4 hours a week, I think that's why that really irritates me. And believe me, it irritates me. I can't stand it. It's like nails on a chalkboard when people, and a lot of times it's people that you see on social media, gurus, I only work 4 hours a week. And they're just selling a course, right? And more than likely, those people that are doing that never did the work to get there. Um, and I've talked about that a lot. But basically they're gurus. They never did the work to get there. They did maybe a few deals here and there, and more than likely the deals didn't work out, but they learned enough to where they can teach others, or so-called teach others, how to get there. There's a lot of bad ones out there, and I've talked about this. I don't want to go too far into it, but there's a lot of good ones out there too. In fact, as I talk about, I'm part of a good group, good community that does a good job of helping others and teaching others. But there are some bad ones out there that maybe they did 1 or 2 deals and they feel like they know everything, or they did 1 or 2 deals, deals went south, and they're like, you know what? I would rather try to teach people this and make money off that than actually doing deals. Now, if the content's good, it is what it is. So my rant kind of got off track here, but it really irritates me when people say they only work 4 hours a week. Um, and you've got to kind of use a filter there too. Because even for myself, again, I'm going to use myself as an example because I can throw myself out there. I like to travel. I would say on average, probably travel, I would say close to once a month, maybe a little less than that. But I like to travel. I like to get out, like to, see other areas of the country. I just like to travel. But while I'm traveling, even if I'm on vacation with family or whatever, and it's not a business trip, I'm still being productive without a doubt. I'm probably, this is not tooting my own horn, but even while I'm on vacation, I am more productive than the people saying they work 4 hours a week. And again, to me, that's one. Do I enjoy it? Without a doubt, but I enjoy putting out something that's valuable, and whatever that is. Maybe it's this podcast. Maybe this podcast is not valuable, but um, I enjoy trying to put something out there that's valuable that can help others and make all of us better, make the entire world better. To me, that's what it's about. It's not about trying just to create time freedom for yourself. which is great, right? To create, if you're working 16 hours a day, yeah, you probably need to create some time freedom. And once you do that, though, then you got to spend more time with your loved ones, your family, friends, whatever. That's important too, right? You don't want to just plug that time into and kind of not give time or attention to your family or loved ones, right? To me, that's the biggest part of my life is my family. They're going to get attention, but at the same time, and I've talked about this too, at the same time, I know my lifestyle, my working environment, I guess, not lifestyle, but my working environment is different than others. So I need to make sure my kids know that one, I grinded like crazy to get to where I'm at, and I'm not stopping, and I'm still working. Even though I don't have a 9 to 5, an 8 to 5, I'm not going to an office or I'm not going somewhere. Well, am going to an office, but I'm not there for 8, 9 hours during the day. So it looks a little different, but I want them to know that I am working. I'm not the person that is working 4 hours a week or so-called working 4 hours a week. I don't want my kids seeing that. That's not what I want to raise. And that again, that's another point of why I get so irritated when I see people banging on the chest that they only work 4 hours a week. It's what are you teaching if you have kids? What are you teaching your kids? What are you selling to the world that you're only working 4 hours a week? It just, ugh, I'm ranting here, I know, and I'm kinda saying a lot of the same things, but it just it bothers me. I think I've hit on most things I wanna hit on here, but wanna kinda end with a final point here, and for myself, I know the transition was harder I went from having a 9 to 5 for whatever it was, 15, almost 20 years. Actually, I was talking to my daughter last night. I worked a 9 to 5 for, I think it was 22 years, including in high school, including in college. I mean, I worked while I was in college, while I was playing college basketball. Again, not banging on my chest, but I've grinded. I've done those things. Um, but it took some rewiring of myself to figure out that once I gained financial freedom, that wasn't the end of the road. I For a time, I definitely thought it was. I was like, "Oh, this is great. I've got all this time now. I can hang out with family all the time," which I did, and I still hang out with family as much as I can. Um, but I realized, and I realized first that's not the end of the road, and I realized that pretty quickly. But I knew that I needed new goals that drove me. That was the harder part. I needed to figure out what goals really drove me, and I bring this guy up a lot, but Dan Martell talks about kind of the dark energy that gets you to a spot, which dark energy, without a doubt, got me to financial freedom, without a doubt. And as I get older, I realize my dark energy for myself isn't just, and I've talked about this, isn't just the job that I used to work at that I wanted out. It wasn't just that. There are things that happen, and I've talked a little bit about this. There are things that happened while playing sports, while growing up, not getting good grades in school. There was dark energy there that can propel you, and it got me out of got me financially free. But after that, I needed to find. I've in a way kind of conquered a big goal of mine, right? I mean, I did conquer a big goal of mine. After that, I had to rewire everything. I knew I needed to keep going, but I didn't have that dark energy anymore. And Dan Martell says dark energy will get you so far, but you need something after that. I think he just calls it the whatever the white energy. I don't know if he calls it white energy, but the energy that is it doesn't burn out. The dark energy burns out. The light energy, we'll call it, it is always going. And for me, and it seems like, and according to Dan Martell too, I'll follow him, but um, uh, it's usually that light energy is helping others. And there's so many ways to help others. Again, it can be time, it can be money. There's just so many ways that you can help others. That's been my newfound, I guess, fuel. And that's the point of all this is I can't stand when people say, I only work 4 hours a week when they need to rewire their brains truthfully, and realize like this isn't about you. And if you think it's about you, then that's super selfish on what you just did. You just became financially free, and now you're being selfish by not giving back to others and helping others. Whether you're trying to get them to where you're at, or you're just trying to help maybe a family member, or you're trying to help hire someone on your team to have a great work environment and pay them well. And or maybe it's working at the local food pantry. There's so many ways to help people. So when I see people say I only work 4 hours a week, it's selfish, my opinion. Probably not just my opinion. I think it's just selfish, right? But to kind of wrap this up, so kind of and I've talked about this too, but kind of full circle here is yeah, you want to get time freedom if you can, which is I was fortunate enough to do that. Time freedom, and then you got to start hiring people. Well, then you got to make your systems pretty good, right? And we did that. And while I was doing that, I also started making some good hires, and that helped. And then that wasn't even the next step, which is delegation. Even with the new hires that we made, I wasn't really delegating at first. It was just like I'm not doing this work. I can't be at all the locations every week to, do the manual work, even answering emails from the call center that we had or administrative tasks. Like to me, that wasn't necessarily delegation. Delegating didn't really truly happen for me until I got some people in place to kind of delegate from the leadership team. Um, to me, that's true delegation. Now I'm delegating, it's still day-to-day tasks, but now I'm delegating those things to where I can focus on bigger things, um, and not necessarily just leadership, but vision too. And I'm working on that. But and I've already talked about some of that too. But that to me, that's where you gain financial freedom, you gain your time freedom. Um, you make good hires if that's the type of business you have with AI. It's obviously looking different. You may not have to hire anybody. But yeah, you don't just stop. Once you get your time freedom, your financial freedom, you don't just stop. You keep going. You can there's no end goal, but you got to continue to find what the next rung is on the ladder. And I think it just I want to put this out there, and I know I've talked about it before, but for whatever reason, I saw a post or someone talking about pumping their, talking about how they work 4 hours a week. It just irritates me so much. So before I keep rambling here, yeah, provide value to the world, give back in however you can. And it can be time, it can be money, it can be wisdom. So many ways to give back. But just be value to others. And to me, that's the fulfillment of life, my opinion. I'm getting kind of deep here. This is actually today's my birthday when I'm recording this. So maybe there's some internal reflection right now on my end too. But yeah, it's all about giving back to people, right? So before I keep rambling, that's all I've got. Feel free to reach out if you want to come on the show. Reach out to me if you've already been on. Want to come on again? Reach out to me. We'll love to have you back on if you've already been on. But always looking for new guests. And appreciate you guys for listening. See you next time.